Thank you and good morning. We'll start with the NFL and Chiefs and Jets. Chiefs play at the Jets on Sunday night. The Jets have a good defense, but have lost Aaron Rodgers for the season and don't have a good backup quarterback in Zach Wilson. Chiefs defense has been better. Let's look at the Jets. Some key players for the Jets are Quentin Williams, who is younger than Chris Jones, but right behind him in defensive tackles in most opinions. Middle linebacker C.J. Mosley, cornerback C.J. Sauce Gardner, Jordan Whitehead, and who had 3 interceptions on opening night against the Bills, and the win on the upset after Rodgers got hurt on the first 4 plays and may have ruined their season. But this game could be a trap game for the Chiefs, but I still want the Chiefs to win without Aaron Rodgers, Paul Garrett Wilson, and Bryce Hall, as they have some offensive talent. Alan Lazard and former Chief McCole Hardman, the offensive line is a weak part, and obviously the quarterback. We look at the matchup, Trish Jones and Chiefs defensive tackle, and Quentin Williams, the Jets defensive tackle. We look at the quarterbacks, obviously outmatched Berries, the Jets with Zach Wilson, and Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback in the league. I think it will be closer than some of them I have looked, but I think it will be right on the line or just a little bit over the line. I'm looking at the Chiefs winning 27-17 or 27-20. Chiefs are favored by 8.5. Jets are coming off a loss to the Patriots, where they only scored 10 points. It was 15-10. 49ers and Cardinals on Fox, not the national game of the week. A pretty bad game at it. Arizona did come up with an upset over the Cowboys, but San Francisco looks good at 3-0 and maybe one of the top teams in the NFC. Definitely one of the top 3. I don't see the Cardinals getting this upset. It'll be Brock Purdy and Joshua Dobbs. Purdy has been pretty good this season, and Joshua Dobbs is just Joshua Dobbs. But we look at the key matchups of James Conner and Christian McCaffrey. James Conner, one of the best backs in the league. Christian McCaffrey, right now, probably the best back in the league. Both running it hard. The 49ers are favored by 14. Kick is at 325. Now we go on to the national game of the week. Dak Prescott and the Cowboys matching up against the Patriots, Mac Jones. The best matchups we look for of probably one of the best matchups of the season at linebacker, Micah Parsons and Matthew Judon. Cowboys are coming off a disappointment loss. Meanwhile, the Patriots are coming off a win over the Jets. Kick is at 325. Since the AFC West will preview this game, although it's not a very good game, the Chargers and Raiders, both teams are 2-1. Jimmy Garoppolo is questionable. Likely Brian Hoyer after he gets hurt last week, and it was a concussion protocol. Doesn't really think you can play Jimmy Garoppolo, but they may. He is questionable. Backup quarterback Brian Hoyer is 37. Obviously, Justin Herbert should outmatch him, but I look for the Chargers to charge it up and keep it close. The Chargers almost lost last week to the Vikings, and Kirk Cousins saved him through an interception in the end zone on first down, which would have them take the lead and may have lost Brandon Staley his job. Devontae Adams and Keenan Allen is who we look at. Kick is at 305. Eagles and Commanders. Dewan Payne and had 11.5 sacks last season, and Fletcher Cox had 7, although his career high was his sack season was 10.5. This year, he just has a half a sack this year. Struggled with his health a little bit. Look at Sam Howell and Jalen Hurts. Line is 9. I've got the Eagles winning by 14, 24-10. Kick is at 12. Saints and Buccaneers. For the quarterbacks, we look at Baker Mayfield and Derek Carr. He is questionable, but I don't think he's likely to play. Tyson Hill and Baker Mayfield. I'm taking the better quarterback, Baker Mayfield. Buccaneers by 4. Buccaneers to win by 3. And to cover would be also to cover over the Saints, who are favored by 3. I've got the Buccaneers winning 13-10. Kick is at 12. Bengals and Titans in the both need game for the Bengals and Titans if they want a shot at the playoffs. We'll watch DeAndre Hopkins at the receiver position and I say at the Bengals don't lose, their playoff percentage is not over, but it's not looking good for them. If the Titans lose, it's going to be really tough for them to make the playoffs. They've not been very good anyways. DeAndre Hopkins is definitely one of the best receivers at one time, but hasn't been great as of late. Jamar Chase, the top two receiver, quarterback Joe Burrow and Ryan Hannington, and the players we look at kickers at 12. Both teams are 1-2. Both teams are 2-1 for the game against the Ravens versus the Browns. The Browns are losing week 2 against the Steelers, and Ravens have bad losses to the Colts by 3, and they should win this game though. The Browns to host though. Deshaun Watson and Lamar Jackson quarterbacks matchup one time, but Deshaun Watson has since dropped off. We look at the receivers, rookie Zay Flowers. He had a good game in his first game, but hasn't looked good, hasn't looked great since. Wideout for the Browns veteran Amari Cooper, who had 1,000 yards last season. Game time is at 12. Line is 1.5. I'm taking the Ravens 27-24. Bears and Broncos. Quarterback position. The quarterback is Justin Fields and Russell Wilson. It really can't even get any worse than this. The Broncos suck. The Bears suck. I'm going to take the Broncos 17-14. The Bears have the worst defense of the league, and the Broncos are right behind them. I had to choose offensive players, which they have not had very much success, but anyways, I had to choose them because I couldn't find anybody. So DJ Moore and Jerry Jeudy are the matchups to watch out for. That game kicks off at 12. Before we get to the last 12 o'clock game, which is the game of the day, we have the Falcons and the Jaguars. Travis Etienne and Jags running back. Falcons running back by John Robinson, who had a really good week 2, 124 yards, but has not had a game over 56 before that. But I expect him to get better, as he was number 8 in the NFL draft and the best running back of the draft out of Texas this year. Game time is at 8:30. Now we move on to the best game of the day, the Dolphins and Bills. The Bills have won 2 in a row after handily beating the Commanders and Raiders, but getting upset by the Jets on a day that wouldn't have been an upset maybe if Aaron Rodgers had played, but when he didn't play, but since Aaron Rodgers is not playing, it was an upset after getting hurt on the fourth play of the NFL season, which was the Bills and Jets. Dolphins quarterback, who must stay healthy over the season, Tua Tagovailoa, and we look at Josh Allen, who also needs to stay healthy, but has stayed most of his career, but does get the bigger hits. We look at Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle at the receiver position, and Stephon Diggs for the Bills. Hill's a top 5 receiver in the game. Dolphins' offenses have been firecrackers as they put up 70 against the Broncos last week, who are terrible, as we talked about. The Bills won last week pretty handily, too. I'm going to take the Bills until the Dolphins prove me that they can beat a team over 500. I've got the Bills winning 34-31. In the Saturday game, pretty fast. Now, on to the college game, Kansas versus Texas. That game kicks off at 16. That game kicks off at 2:30 today. 16 is a line. Don't look for this game to be very close. Missouri and Vanderbilt should be very close, but they're Missouri. SEC Network, 14 points is Mizzou favored by. Notre Dame and Duke. Notre Dame is 4-1, lost last week to Ohio State. Duke is 4-0, but Notre Dame is favored by 5.5. And the next game we look at is LSU and Ole Miss. That game kicks off at 5 o'clock, 2.5 on ESPN. Mizzou will play Ole Miss next. And Florida plays Kentucky. Kentucky is favored by 1. Florida is 3-1. ESPN, 11 a.m. This is Sam Vaughn for Sam Sports Report. Have a good Saturday.